What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be doing a condition report on Sparky. I've owned her for 3 years and she is now just ticked over the 250,000 mile mark. 10,000 miles a year since she was made 25 years ago. And over the course of 25 years and 250,000 miles, a lot has happened to this car. She's seen a lot of things. She's gone enough miles to have gone to the moon and even start her trip back. But I get asked a lot with this car, the condition of it, how it's been for me, how it's been to own, all those sorts of things. We have made a video a year ago. I made one called 2 years, 20,000 miles, $20,000. I'll link it up here if you want to hear more about my ownership experience of this car. Last year, I started a series called Getting the M3 Up to Snuff. And the idea of that series was to make Sparky nicer, but what I ended up actually doing was just fighting a bunch of misfires and check engine lights, which is no bueno. But this year I'm dedicated to actually kind of taking Sparky to that next level of niceness. My goal of this car is to have the nicest 350,000 mile M3 in the USA. We have 100,000 more to go. That's my goal of this car, but let's go ahead and get into it and I will tell you guys everything with this car that bothers me. We are going to nitpick her apart today. Hopefully it'll make you guys feel a little less bad about your own E36s. First on the list of things I'm going to nitpick about this car is probably the worst part cosmetically on this car, on the exterior. That is this fender. This happened prior to my ownership. I think somebody had a previous fender bender in the past and they just took a hammer and a chisel and just kind of banged it out because it almost looks good, and on video it looks really good, but when you get up close to it, you can see it's all wavy. It doesn't really line up down here and it's just kind of not cool. I've talked to some body shops about maybe saving this fender because it's original, but a lot of them said to properly fix it, they'd throw a bunch of Bondo in there, and I was just recommended to get a new fender. By the time I'm ready to kind of fix this, I think that I'll just get another fender and have it paint matched to everything else. Also on this corner is this wheel. Last year we had a stuck caliper, which we also did a video on fixing the other side. Someone, when I went to my track day, showed me how to rebuild a caliper, but while I was at the track, one of the track sessions, it was stuck the entire time, and this entire wheel just got coated in brake dust. It was black and it got really hot. So I essentially powder coated the wheel. If you've noticed the wheels here, this one is noticeably darker than all the other ones because the finish is totally messed up. That was my fault. Fortunately, contours are cheap and I have 3 other ones sitting in storage. So next time we need tires, this one's getting swapped out. Moving on to the front end here, it looks pretty good, especially when you're standing far away, but that's because it's silver. Don't let it fool you. This car has seen a lot of highways and a lot of rock chips. All along the front here is a bunch of rock chips, all along the nose panel, the bumper. This thing has seen a lot. It's seen a lot of bugs. The car has a high kill count. Overall, I'm actually giving this car a hard time. It's not that bad, relatively speaking, but it does have some rock chips, and it's something that eventually we'll get to, but just something that kind of bothers me on the car. This over here, I tried to touch up once, but after I touched up, it got worse. So I guess I'll hit it again this year. But overall, we're doing okay up here at the front end. So follow me over here. We look at this fender, passenger side fender, and passenger side front door. So I had these repainted very shortly after I bought the car. There was a rust spot at the top of the door seal here, and then this fender was kinked in. So I had them pull this out and then fix this, put a new seal on it just so that it wouldn't get this wouldn't rust any worse. And then this one was a lot more obvious on the other side, so it bothered me a lot. The paint match is spectacular. You could not tell that it's been painted from the color alone. However, this door to this door, you can see a little bit of a new versus old clear coat disparity. So sometimes you can see that it's been painted in certain lightings or whatever, but for the most part, this is probably the best angle on the entire car. If you ignore another dent in the hood, just right up there. That one I did when I was trying to take the hood insulation off. I accidentally drilled up into the hood, which was really, really sad. I was upset about that one. So if we come back towards the rear, we'll go to the roof. The roof looks pretty good on this car. Not too many swirls or any deformities up here. There's one scratch that kind of goes across, but there's a 0% chance you're gonna see that, so we'll just pretend it's not there. There is a tiny dent up here from the antenna, kind of smacking it. I actually think that happened shortly after I bought the car. One of my friends was messing with me and they just flipped it up and I noticed that dent after. So it might have been there, it might have not been, but that dent's been there for most of my ownership. Coming to the deck lid, this is the only body panel on this car that is not original. I'll open it up here. There's two things about it. One, this VIN is not the VIN of the car. It's a WBA VIN, which means it's off a non-M. And then this is the dead giveaway up here, the lettering. So this was, I'm guessing what happened is this car was rear-ended at some point and they grabbed the junkyard deck lid, stuck an M3 badge on it, whatever. I also think this bumper was replaced too, or maybe repainted, because the alignment is just slightly off. You never really see it, but it's something that's kind of there. I drilled holes into this deck lid, put the spoiler in it, and they're rusting. And I did a 5 out of 10 job. You come over here and look. They're not awful, but it's like kind of cracking here, and down here it's rusting. Might throw some grease on these just to kind of keep them from getting worse. I kind of already accepted this deck lid was gonna be trashed. And another dead giveaway, this deck lid has been replaced, and it's also a bad deck lid, is over here at the corner. Somebody did like some kind of rattle can job in the past, because this does not have the edge like it's supposed to, and the paint is very clearly different. The other side is more pointy like it's supposed to be. If we come to look at the base of the deck lid here, this is a common problem with E36s. You can see where I tried to take care of it before once and did a terrible job. This is rusting. I'm gonna try to take care of this again. It's rusting over here too. This whole deck lid is honestly just not really that good. It's probably the worst part of this whole car, honestly, which is saying a lot because it's not that bad, but this kind of bothers me and I'd like it to not get worse. The spoiler too, when I bought the spoiler to put on here, one of the corners is actually just completely missing, and the body shop did an amazing job of kind of filling it. You can see there where they had to kind of reattach it and use the fiberglass filler. Would not even know, and as far as I'm concerned, the body shop told me that it's actually stronger than it would have been otherwise. So that's not going anywhere, but it's another little thing that sometimes I look at and it kind of bothers me, but what are you gonna do? I'm gonna close the deck lid here. We can go to the bumper. Some of you long-term viewers might know this spot right here. I did this last year and it was almost the reason that I sold this car. It was kind of like the what do they call it? The nail that broke the camel's back? No, not the nail, not the nail. Okay. I was really upset over this. I ended up just touching it up, but I at some point might get this filled in and just like kind of fix this bumper. There's also a spot here that you may or may not see where it's kind of like scratched up. I don't really know. This bumper's kind of the paint quality. I don't know. Something happened in this area. I don't really know what, but we'll just look away and pretend like we don't know. Just for now anyway. These taillights too are depot reps and they don't really line up that well, and it's kind of frustrating. And it's let water in, cooked one of the taillights, I think. I don't know, the whole circuit board just looks bad. And I would not be surprised if one day these taillights just quit working entirely. I was kind of upset about that one, but I don't know. I'll get it. If I ever find an OE set, genuine BMW or whatever, I'll throw them on here. I'll spend the $250. But for now, it looks good enough. When you're standing from 10 feet away, you can't really tell. I pull them out every year and clean the inside to make sure that no rust starts. Speaking of rust, on the whole exterior of this car, there is like no rust whatsoever. But if you come over here, where the bumper meets the quarter panel, and you may or may not see if you come up really close, right here on the inside, there's a rust spot starting, and I found that water was getting trapped in this seam that started the rust somewhere along here. We're gonna pull off this bumper probably this summer, and we'll take care of that and realign it, because every time I wash it now, I've been kind of like pushing it to kind of fish all the water out, and I'll stick a towel in there. But that was something I noticed last year. Something I definitely like to take care of, because really on the body of this car, it's like very, very rust free. I've been very happy with that aspect of it. But as far as the exterior goes, that's pretty much it. I mean, it looks pretty good for the age of mileage. The trim looks really black because I used Cerakote on it a couple years ago. It's done really well, with the exception of the B-pillar trims, but we'll replace those at some point. And then one last exterior bit, the seal here on the rear glass is like every E36 sedan seal on the rear glass. It is just, the corner's gone. This is like rock hard. This will be on the list eventually, maybe this summer. I would like to take care of this because it kind of bothers me. And I've noticed this car has a little more wind noise than I'd like it to, and I'm sure this is not helping its case. So moving on to the interior. The interior of this car was actually why I bought it. A lot of these cars were okay cosmetically on the exterior, but the interiors were just trashed. Especially now, but even 3 years ago, there were still not a lot of nice ones. The interior of this thing, turn the light on, is pretty minty. The seats are in good condition, other than the driver's seat bottom, which has gone a bit hard. And if you come up here close and look, there's a small tear starting. When we did the Tover video, he told me he has an interior guy, so I might hit him up soon and see what can be done about this, if anything. But I feel like the leather just might be too hard to save. I don't know, we'll see on that one. The steering wheel, I did a 3-spoke steering wheel conversion on here. I think that just kind of fits the nice Euro look. Condition-wise, the steering wheel is pretty nice, other than some fading dye up here, and it's gone kind of, I don't really know what you call that, dry. And the airbag was super faded, but I ceramic coated it with Cerakote actually, and it came out really nicely. In this type of lighting, it basically looks like new and OEM. When you get it in direct sunlight, you can still see the fading right through the ceramic coating, but we are just gonna ignore that because right now it looks good and you wouldn't know. And you can pretend and forget that I ever said anything about it. And if we come into the driver's seat, odometer check. Actually, we're almost at 251 now. Pretty high mileage. I kind of like seeing that number. Other interior bits. The glove box is, oh, didn't do it that time. Oh, well, the glove box is total garbage in this thing. The glue is delaminating here. It's sagging here. The button doesn't even stay in. If I launch this car hard or do any hard accelerations, it just flies right out. Doesn't like to sit in right. I don't know who hurt this glove box. Well, I say I don't know, but it was probably me because I actually use it. And we all know that using your glove box in an E36 is a big no-no because they don't like that. They don't like being used. It's something that just goes against their code of conduct. I priced out a replacement. It's like $550 for a new, oh, there it is. For a new center vent piece and the new glove box. You can't actually buy a new glove box. You have to put it together in pieces, which is kind of weird, but that'll happen eventually. I would say this summer, but probably not. I just might temporarily glue this just so it looks okay. But yeah, that's basically a lost cause. I've accepted that that is going to be a full replacement at some point. And then in the center control stack, I mean, all the pixels and the key in. All the pixels and everything work. I mean, it's in pretty good shape. The head unit works great. I actually kind of like the Pioneer head unit. When I bought this car originally, I wanted a factory head unit, but I think the Pioneer color kind of matches everything else really nicely. Turn the lights on. And it kind of just fits the whole aesthetic, and this works a lot better. I like having the USB here. I can put all my music in it. Taillight failure, of course, from the depot taillights. This screen right here is really dim. I need to put new bulbs in here. That'll probably be a DIY this summer. But other than that, I mean, cluster has a little bit of dark spotting, which happens from the face delaminating from the cluster itself. There's the fix for that, but we'll get around to that eventually. Shift knob, I would replace this with this metal one. I actually don't know what shift knob this is. If anyone knows, comment down below what this shift knob is. I think it's a UUC shift knob, but obviously the M stripes are super faded. I'd like to get another one, but I don't know which one this is. We're gonna put another shift knob in here at some point. I had a ZHP one, but we're not gonna put a ZHP one in there. You guys will just have to wait and see what we put in here. It'll look really good, trust me. And the rest of the interior, I mean, passenger seat is basically mint. Maybe a little hard, but it's not. I mean, it's like normal old car leather seat. It's not bad at all. Center console area. Of course, we have our coins in there because I don't really trust these things to not break. And our ashtray, which works. It's all just in really good shape. Parking brake boot works really good. I mean, honestly, even the tweeters and everything, they're all in one piece. They're all together. It's just really nice. Honestly, I've been very happy with the condition of this car, and I've done everything I can to kind of keep and preserve it the way it is. There has come a point where I've had to give up some of the, longevity of the interior and the cosmetics just for the sake of using the car. which hurts inside because I'm really big on originality, and this car, when I got it, was untouched. This thing was like as original as they come, but somebody, I think at some point, took care of this car and they just didn't keep the records for it. Maybe they thought they were keeping it for a long time. I'm not totally sure, but when I got it in my hands, I was determined to keep this thing as nice as I could, as nice as I could reasonably afford to, and honestly, just enjoy it. Because really, that's what these cars are all about. They're all about enjoying them. And I think having one with 250,000 miles kind of just adds to that. I don't have to care about putting miles in this car. If it gets more rock chips, who cares? It's already got a bunch of rock chips on it. I think it's the perfect driver's quality M3. It's just nice enough to make it feel like a cool and special car, but it's not too nice to where I have to worry about it all the time. I think that is it for today's video, guys. If you enjoyed, make sure to hit that thumbs up button. It would mean a lot to me. Long term, the front end will get repainted. All the rust spots will be fixed. The seats will be redone. Maybe we swap invaders. There's a lot of things in store for this car long term, but overall, as it sits, I'm very happy with it. But take care, everybody, and I will see you in the next one.